Arthur Bishop, known in shadowy circles as the Mechanic, is the world's deadliest assassin who faked his own death and built a new life in seclusion. He settled into a serene life in Rio de Janeiro. After faking his death to escape the underworld, he enjoys being in a city filled with vibrant colors, rhythmic samba beats, and bustling streets. His days are spent like an ordinary man's, walking through the bustling markets, sipping espresso at a quaint cafe overlooking the city, and soaking in the rhythmic life of Brazil. Bishop blends in with the locals, enjoying the peaceful anonymity of his new identity. This isn't just a new chapter for him, it's a carefully constructed facade. His identity, meticulously erased, leaves him a ghost to those who once hunted him. Yet, as serene as his existence appears, there's an undercurrent of unease, as if he knows that peace is only temporary for someone with his skills and his past. But as much as Bishop tries to leave his past behind, shadows from his former life are never far away. One day, while enjoying a quiet moment on the terrace of a hillside cafe, a mysterious woman, Renee Tran, approaches him. She isn't there by accident. She knows who he really is. A woman, dressed sharply, yet exuding an aura of danger, appears at his table. Her name is Renee Tran, and she's far too precise to be a casual tourist. She speaks with an air of authority, outlining her reason for being there: 3 names, 3 targets, and 1 man who can make them vanish accidentally. Bishop, who has long abandoned the violent precision of his past, listens, but the calm in his demeanor is deceiving. He doesn't entertain her offer. The life she's trying to pull him back into is one he buried long ago. He refuses. When Bishop firmly rejects her, Renee's true intentions become clear. She isn't here to negotiate. Renee reveals that she has been sent by someone who knows him well, Raya Crane, an adversary from Bishop's former life. What starts as a casual day turns into chaos. Tran signaled subtly, and within seconds, the world around him shifted. Men with cold eyes and sharp movements began closing in. The fight that ensues is both calculated and fierce. Bishop stood, his movements fluid, but his mind razor sharp. Bishop, ever the master tactician, uses his environment to his advantage, turning everyday objects into tools for his escape. Knowing Rio is no longer safe, Bishop makes his way to a secluded beach in Thailand, where his old friend May welcomes him with open arms. May's beach house, perched on the edge of a quiet bay, offers a much-needed reprieve from the turmoil he just left behind. Here, amidst the tranquil waves and golden sands, Bishop begins to rebuild his peace. May understands his need for solitude and provides a safe space for him to reflect. He spends his days repairing boats and exploring the local village, all the while keeping a watchful eye for any signs of trouble. One evening, May interrupted his solitude. Her voice carried urgency. "There's a woman," she said, pointing toward a sleek, anchor yacht drifting just beyond the shoreline. "She's in trouble." From the shore, Bishop could see a man's shadow looming over the woman on the deck. The sharp sound of a slap carried over the waves, and Bishop's calm shattered. Without hesitation, he rowed out to the yacht, his jaw tight, muscles coiled. Reaching the boat, he climbed aboard in a single fluid motion. The man turned, surprised, but not for long. Bishop disarmed him with brutal precision. The fight over in seconds. The woman, Gina Thornton, was curled against the deck railing, her face streaked with tears and a fresh bruise darkening her cheek. He brought her back to May's house, where she was offered food, water, and a bed. Gina, tearful and shaken, confessed the reality. Crane had coerced her into approaching Bishop, using her as bait to draw him out of hiding. The children she cared for in Cambodia were Crane's leverage, their safety tied to her compliance. Bishop's reaction was cold and measured. He didn't blame Gina. She was another pawn in Crane's elaborate game. Yet, anger simmered beneath his calm anger at the manipulation, at being drawn back into a world he'd fought to leave behind. But Crane had underestimated him. If he wanted a fight, Bishop would give him one. Not on Crane's terms, but his own. Bishop stood at the edge of May's porch, staring into the horizon. Arthur Bishop knew he couldn't outrun this. The peaceful man who had sought solace in Rio and Thailand was gone. What remained was the methodical, precise machine. Crane had always feared a man determined to finish this, once and for all. Crane had sent Gina as bait, but in doing so, he had also left a thread for Bishop to unravel. The stakes were clear: Gina's life, the safety of the children she cared for, and the tenuous peace Bishop had tried to build. He didn't need convincing. His response wasn't surrender, but strategy. Using Crane's audacity against him, Bishop agreed to the 3 hits Crane demanded, intending to turn the tide. The targets were men deeply entrenched in corruption and power, untouchable by the world's laws, but not by Bishop's precision. Despite the grim circumstances, Bishop and Gina grow closer. Their shared experiences create a bond that neither expected. Bishop, who has long kept others at arm's length, begins to lower his guard around Gina. As days pass, their connection deepens. Gina's resilience and compassion spark something in Bishop, reminding him of the humanity he thought he had lost. May, observing from the sidelines, sees the change in her friend and supports him in his efforts. Their peace is shattered when Crane's mercenaries locate them. They storm May's beach house, taking both Gina captive. When Bishop is brought face to face with Crane, he lays out his ultimatum: complete 3 nearly impossible tasks or watch Gina suffer the consequences. Bishop's first assignment takes him to a maximum security prison in Malaysia, where his target, a brutal warlord, resides under heavy guard. The plan: engineer his death to look like an accident. To gain access, Bishop deliberately gets himself arrested, his movements calculated down to the second. Inside the grim confines of the prison, he befriends the inmates strategically. Learning about his target, he earned the trust of the target by neutralizing a rival who had been a lingering threat. The tension rises as Bishop manipulates events, setting the warlord up to overdose on his opium. As planned, the warlord meets his end. The prison erupts into chaos. The chaos gave Bishop the chance to escape. He breached the prison walls, diving into the sea and swimming to a prearranged extraction point. True to his promise, Crane confirmed Gina's safety, spurring Bishop forward. The next target was a wealthy individual who lived in an ultra-secure mansion, complete with a one-of-a-kind pool suspended high above the ground. Bishop needed to outwit the extensive security systems, so he targeted the most vulnerable points, the pool itself. Scaling the structure with calculated precision, Bishop tampered with the pool's supports, ensuring its collapse. The target's demise was swift and appeared to be nothing more than an unfortunate structural failure. After completing this task, Bishop received another confirmation call from Crane. During the brief conversation, Gina subtly tried to relay clues about her location, with details of the vessel where she was being held captive. Fueled by Gina's cryptic message, Bishop tracked the vessel and launched a daring attempt to rescue her. He moved stealthily, neutralizing several guards along the way, but his plan was foiled when he was ambushed by Crane's men. Crane, furious at Bishop's defiance, tightened the timeline for the final task. He made it clear any further missteps would have dire consequences for Gina. The final target was a prominent figure in the arms and trade world, stationed in a heavily guarded compound. While researching his target, Bishop realized that Crane wasn't just eliminating threats to global peace, he was systematically removing his own competition. Rather than comply, Bishop decided to outplay Crane. He approached the target with a proposition: to fake his demise in exchange for mutual assistance against their shared enemy. The target agreed, and together they staged a convincing scene that deceived Crane. With all 3 targets neutralized, Bishop set his sights on Crane. Armed with the knowledge he had gathered, he initiated an elaborate takedown of Crane's operations. Bishop infiltrated Crane's base, dismantling his network one piece at a time. Amid the chaos, he located Gina and freed her. Ensuring her safety, he turned his full attention to Crane. The confrontation was intense, but Bishop's strategic edge and unmatched skills prevailed. Crane's reign of manipulation and cruelty came to a decisive end. With Crane defeated and Gina safe, Bishop disappeared once more, this time He sought a life far removed from the dangers and deceptions that had defined his past. He and Gina found solace in their newfound freedom, determined to build a peaceful life away from the shadows that once loomed over them.